Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good to see you. And again, welcome to So You Want to Be a Presenter / or maybe public speaker. And today's is all about eye contact, why it's important and why it always seems a little bit strange if someone doesn't maintain eye contact with you when you're actually speaking to them. Now, first of all, eye contact. How many times have you been in a conversation with someone, or it's been a one-way conversation and that person's been talking to you, but then every so often they look up, look to the side, look down, look away, or don't even sort of engage with you at all whilst they're speaking, supposedly, to you. It makes you feel very uncomfortable. It's very strange. And this goes way back to the sort of caveman days when it's so important to make eye contact with someone, because there's an old adage that says the eyes are the windows to the soul. And in some respects that's true. And what really that should read is the eyes are the window to what that person's really thinking. Okay, so if anyone deliberately or seems to be deliberately trying to avoid eye contact with you, it makes you feel suspicious. It makes you think that they're possibly up to something, or they're not listening, or they're not trustworthy, or what they're saying isn't true and they don't believe in it themselves. It's a very strange phenomenon, and that's why people always tell you to take off your sunglasses when you're talking to someone, or they may ask you to take off your sunglasses. Because subconsciously they want to look into your eyes to be able to read something. And it might be read something that they have no idea about, because it's just a sort of primeval urge that they need to do. They need to look into your eyes. Now, way back when, looking into someone else's eyes, you could tell a hell of a lot about them. You could actually tell the state of health of that person. And if you were about to, perhaps go into battle with that person or fight that person, you would look into their eyes, because very quickly you would be able to determine whether or not they were serious, whether or not they were scared, whether or not they were sort of fired up and ready to do this, whether or not they had any underlying illness. That you could tell a whole ream of information by looking into someone's eyes. Now, we've forgotten what it is we're looking for, and we've certainly forgotten to some extent as to how to actually read those signs. But what we haven't forgotten is the fact that we need, for some strange reason, to look into someone's eyes and have them look directly at us when we're in communication. Right, so on a Zoom meeting or a team meeting or a video presentation or whatever it is, you must maintain eye contact, because that will then guarantee that you, what's the word I'm looking for? You will command their attention and you will command their gaze. Now, if you as the presenter or speaker at that moment on your team or Zoom conferencing call, if you then start looking to the side or up or down or wherever it is you particularly want to look, then people will wonder straight away what it is you're looking at. They'll think, what's he looking at over there? What's more interesting, or what's caught his eye, or what on earth is happening over there that's taking his attention away from me, because I thought what we were talking about was quite important. But obviously that over there is now much more important. And so as a sort of viewer, I'm wondering all those things, and I'm not taking on board what it is you're trying to tell me. And I'm very, very quickly, and I mean very quickly, losing interest in you, because you don't seem to have very much interest in me. Also, most of these sort of calls at the moment, the Zoom calls, the team calls, the video conferencing and what have you, is being done from either a phone, and it's great that we've got technology to be able to do that, or a laptop. And the problem with these is you end up looking at the screen and not at the camera, because the camera is in a strange position. Now, on a laptop, if I was talking to you, I'd be looking up there because the camera is at the top of my laptop screen. And if I was on my phone, I'd possibly be looking over there because the camera is actually at the top left or top right of my camera screen. And again, you're not making direct contact. What most people do is they like to see themselves on the screen talking to someone else but also being able to see themselves talking. And this is very bizarre, because the first time you do this and you see yourself talking, it sort of catches you out and you become mesmerized by your own image. And so you're not being yourself, basically, straight away, because you're fascinated by what you're seeing in the screen. And what you're seeing in the screen is you talking to you on the screen. And then if you start looking up here towards the camera, you're not looking at the people that you're supposedly talking to. It looks like you're looking at something else. It's very bizarre. What you need to do is remind yourself that the lens of the camera is there, or there, or there, or whatever, and direct your gaze to that camera, not at the screen in front of you where you can see yourself. And it's very difficult to start with. Okay, you're not a trained professional, so it's very difficult. As for someone like myself, it's not quite as difficult. I mean, I'm used to looking at different cameras at different times because I have an earpiece, and the gallery upstairs, the producer, is telling me in 3, 2, 1 seconds to look at camera 1, to look at camera 2, to look at camera 3. And as I look, those cameras will have a big red light on them, so they sort of catch my peripheral vision, and I know to look at that as well at the same time. For you guys, you've got to sort of remember to constantly look at the camera that you're using. Now, you might be able to just get a post-it note and stick it to the top of your laptop and put a big black arrow pointing at where the camera is. So that would be a constant reminder that that's where you need to be looking. You might want to do that with your phone, but it's just one way in which you can sort of constantly remind yourself that you need to be looking at that camera lens. Okay, eye contact, very important, especially if you're trying to put a serious point or convey a serious piece of information to the people that hopefully are listening to you. Because when you break that eye contact, people will also break their eye contact with you, and they'll start wandering, and then you've sort of wasted 5 or 10 minutes of your conference call or your video presentation. Right, well, there's a lot to get through there. There's a little bit more about eye contact, but I think it sort of overlaps into maybe some of the other videos that I'll do. But here's this week's video, all about eye contact and why it's important when you're doing a conference call, a Zoom, a Teams, or broadcasting or whatever, why it's important and why it all goes wrong, or seems to go wrong, when you break it. Oh, one last thing. Whilst you're speaking also, don't forget to smile, okay? One of the things that I've noticed, and a lot of people will tell you the same, is there's nothing more infectious than a smile or a laugh. If someone starts giggling and laughing out loud and they carry on, you can't help yourself laughing even though you don't know why. And it's the same if someone smiles. If someone's always smiling when they talk to you, it's very difficult. You'd have to be quite a hard and stone-faced person not to actually find yourself smiling back. And just the action of smiling actually makes you feel better about yourself as well. So keep dropping those smiles in that conversation, because people will warm to you a lot more than if you just frowned all the time. Okay? So smile, keep eye contact, keep reminding yourself as to where the camera lens is, and hopefully all will be well. So as always, bye for now.